All right, good morning, guys. Welcome in. Welcome. How are you guys all doing? Good morning. The graphics are about to give you a seizure. I just read that. How you guys all doing? Welcome. It's a beautiful Thursday morning, and we have a lot to go over this morning. Some crazy things happening in the market. We're going to talk about it. So, welcome in. Get yourself together, get yourself situated, and we will dive back into it. So, in crazy volatility. We saw back-to-back 1% days, 1% days, 1% days, ups and downs, whim whams across the board. And there is a lot to go over. Intel, did you guys see Intel? Intel, insane. INTC surging, 11% up yesterday. The past few days, up 11%. INTC just crazy. Something I haven't really been speaking much about, but Intel going crazy. And this is an incredible moment for Intel, so we'll go over that in a little bit. We're going to go over what's going on yesterday's session. We saw some things happen on the banks. President Trump announced the 10% cap on interest rates for credit cards. So companies that have, remember, not all banks are impacted by this, right? Companies, only the banks that have credit card exposure, the commercial bank credit card exposure, right, will have impact to that. We're also going to talk about what's going on with the market today at SPY with ups and downs, right? Pretty much yesterday's session, we had a crazy whim wham around 1:25. I think it was around 1:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It was 2:25. It was 1:25 or 2:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, right over here. So what is this? 2:15. You can see right over here at 14:25. You can see this is exactly when the market got that crazy news. The news being that the tariffs are being lifted, right? Not across the board, but the tariffs are being lifted, and they're working on a Greenland deal, right? And so the market basically saw the most incredible whim wham yesterday. Big downside, big upside, big downside, and then big upside. And the best part about it is, even if you didn't know what the news was, right? If you didn't know what the news was, and you were just completely absent-minded to the news yesterday, what did you do yesterday? You probably longed the 680s, looked for shorts at the supply or as we got towards supply, longed the 680s again, and then got out of your longs back at supply, right? That was your day yesterday. And again, even though the news is crazy and everyone's looking at the headlines and everyone's chasing it, going up and down, up and down, and up and down, you look at yesterday's session, it actually was a technical day, right? There was, even if you didn't know what the news was, you're just trading the levels, right? Is 680 support? We knew that there was your support yesterday's session. We moved higher back into resistance. We moved back into support again. We moved back into resistance. Ups and downs and ups and downs. Now we're going to talk today about a really important thing on SPY. So let me get away from this for a moment. We'll go over Qs, we'll go over ES, Nvidia, Apple, AMD, Meta, Microsoft, a little bit of Amazonian, right? Maybe a little Netflix, right? We'll talk about the whole Shazam today. So let's dive away from this for a second. Momentarily, we're going to go into our econ data earnings reports. Then we'll go back in our charts. So today's session on the earnings docket, yes, it is exciting. You can see Thursday today after hours, we have Intel INTC. So even though Intel's up 11% yesterday's session, it is up 11% into earnings in the after hours today. They have completely changed the whole company. The whole chart has changed with the government investing in Intel, the government contracts in Intel, and the government actually investing capital in Intel. So just crazy to see Intel back at what it once was. So we'll see what happens to that. Does it get? Here's the thing: I had a position in Intel. Remember I had a position in Intel. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I had a position in Intel at like 15 a share, right? 15 to 17 a share, and I was talking about how I saw inflows in Intel, how we were running along Intel. I'm out of Intel. I don't have Intel anymore, right? So I'm just talking about Intel as a spectator at this point. I don't care what Intel does. But this quarter is going to substantiate whether or not their previous price action is justified, right? That's what earnings reports really are. They tell you, hey, the past 3-4 months of price action, right? 3 months of price action, is it justified? Yes or no? And you're going to see that today's session, the after hours, INTC reporting. Big one, big one. This is actually a big one. Why? Because of the crazy price action that's been happening on Intel. Okay. Capital One, this one obviously impacted by the interest rate cap. P&G pre-market, GE pre-market. That's all we have for today. Okay. On the econ docket for today's session, Thursday, you can see we have GDP, gross domestic. We have our GDP data, so that's obviously going to be big. Jobless claims, we have PCE, and we have EAA at 10:30. So some big things happening today: 8:30, 10 o'clock, and 10:30 as well. Just be aware of that going into our session ahead of us. Okay. Besides that, in terms of our actual data for the U.S. jobless claims, it was 1.8 mil. 1.849 mil. So 1849K, which is 1.849 mil, versus the estimate being 1.890. So basically just a little bit under expectations for US jobless claims. Nothing is different there, guys. 200K for actual jobless claims versus 209K estimate. So again, a little bit under, but nothing crazy. The real data today, the real big data that we have in front of us is our GDP data. GDP data is as follows. It is 3.8 versus 3.8. Okay, so that's all it is. Okay, everything's just on target. Moving on. Let's go into, tomorrow, hold on, tomorrow, PMI 945, that's all we have for tomorrow, and consumer sentiment. So some big things tomorrow morning, but nothing to worry about in the pre-market, which is good for us. Let's talk about SPY, guys. We are going to jump into our SPY chart. But we also have 16.8 thousand subscribers on this channel. I am 170 away from 17,000 subs. I would very much appreciate, guys, if I got to 17,000 subs by Friday. It's my little goal for myself is to get to 17K subs. If you guys are not subbed to the channel, then do so. If you guys have other YouTube channels, log in that one, log out of this one, log in that one, and subscribe to this. I'm kidding. You don't have to do that, right? But just subscribe. If you're not subscribed, you shouldn't you shouldn't be here, right? That's what I want to say, right? You got to subscribe. Okay. On the SPY chart, what's happening here? So this is important because oftentimes we just talk about technicals and we don't talk about what's actually happening in the market. Okay, so let's talk about what's actually happening in the market before we even get into technicals. So no levels, just data, right? No levels, just data and what's been happening. Basically, the whole Greenland takeover, tariffs across the board, right? We're gonna smack the EU with more tariffs. We're gonna smack everybody around with tariffs. Big downside move, 2% down, back down into these lows over here, about 2.2% down, right? And so this was that crazy gap down. That crazy gap down between our Friday, the 16th session, right? Friday the 16th, everything's crazy. What's going on? Into the Monday session. That weekend or that open on Monday session, what's going on, right? Crazy downside move, down 2.2%, right? 2.22% is the actual number, right? That whole downside move on our Wednesday session, right? We were opened into that low here on Wednesday and we used 680 as a base, right? 680 was your base yesterday session for support. But we knew that we were bearish, right? 680, I mean, we're kind of structuring lower, downside move. The market's bearish right now here under 680, okay? But again, 680 reclaim, we see some upside. But even if you saw upside yesterday, we knew that upside in a downward trending market is a short, right? So basically, don't short back into 680, but don't long back into 686, right? That was your thesis yesterday's session. But the idea was we're still structuring lower. Why? Because of that big downside move that happened on Friday into Monday. Now, if you notice this, right? Notice where we are trading back into right now, this pre-market session, right? We are trading right here, which is conveniently where we were trading at right before that big tariff, big Greenland takeover debacle, right? That's interesting. That's interesting to me, right? No technicals, just, hey, what the hell is going on here? It's kind of like this never even happened, right? This never even happened. This was just a dream that never happened in the market. And the reason why it never happened is because big downside move off news. And then, oh shit, the news is not real. We're back at the same spot we were before. So it's an interesting pre-market this morning because we're going into a session where we've completely reversed the downside move and we're right back into the inflection point. Are we bullish? No. Are we bearish? No. Were we bearish yesterday? Yes, we were bearish yesterday. We were 100% bearish yesterday. Yes, there was some upside trades you could have taken. 680. I actually wanted a long here at 680. There was some upside momentum trades back in the highs yesterday. Sure, right? But today's session, are we bearish? No, we're not bearish anymore. Technically, if we're above 686, in my opinion, we're not bearish. Are we bullish though? I don't think we have enough data to tell us that. Because if you look at where we are right now, we're just back at the same point that we were prior to that big data drop, right? So I think today's session is going to be a very difficult session, right? Just transparently, I think today's session is going to be almost like a Monday session, right? If you had a good Monday, you had a good Tuesday, you had a good Wednesday, which were all this week has been really good. Well, today's session, you probably need to kick back, put your feet up on your desk for a minute, and see what the hell is going on today, because this is something that we must be aware of. The market's completely reversed the downside move. We're back here. We're right back to the same spot. So where do we go now? Do we begin seeing a little bit of some 686 demand holds, in which case we look for a long side move back into 695? Or do we see us do a little bit of some rejection trades here at the gap level, which is 691 on SPY? You can see 691 is a very important level. Do we see us reject the 691s today? In which case we see a downside move. So for me, it's really this. It's what do we do with this 691? Our appetite in the market is defined by whether or not we are above 691. If we are above 691, I believe we see some upside moves back into 695 and possibly break of all-time highs. Or do we fail 691, which is your best possible short side move today, for a downside trade back into 686, and then under 686 is another downside move back into 680. And if we break under 686, in my opinion, we are back in the bear market, right? So that's my view today for shorts, is going to be the 691 failures or the 686 failures for downside move, because that would be your bear side trade, right? But again, if we start to rebuild above the 691 and start seeing maintenance above these highs, then we probably just break all-time highs, right? So we have to be aware of today's session is basically a day where you want to be watching and seeing what happens, because we are back at the same spot that we were prior to the big data, right? That's the most important thing today here on the market, and I wanted you guys to be aware of that, right? That was the most important thing today's session, and we now have gotten that done with. ES chart, I'm not going to spend the same amount of time talking about the ideas here, right? You guys know it, so I'll just talk about levels now. Your levels on the ES chart are that gap fill level 69.75, which, if you guys remember, is a very important level in SPY. That's your 691 SPY level. 691 SPY is your equivalent of ES 69.75. So you can see right over here, that's your exact level, 69.75, right? There's your exact level today here in ES chart. If you're looking for retest rejections, probably is here, right? That's your retest rejection. Move down lower off the gap fill level. If you want to see us fail today, you want to see us back under the lows of that Wednesday session, right? Under Wednesday's lows confirms us back in a bear trend for a downside move. So this is your trend today, right? It's really 69.25, which is your Wednesday's lows of the market, and it's your 69.75, your gap fill level. That's your gap fill level today. It's a very clear level. It's a very clear market this morning, but we have to see, what does the market do? In which direction does it pick? If you see us build above the 69.75s today, then we are canceling that bear market, right? We're just going higher back into highs, and we're probably going to break it, right? So again, our levels are clear. We must see what happens today as the market trades. Okay. All right. On the Qs chart, QQQ, you can see here on Qs, we have reclaimed 615, right? The level that we had to stay beneath was 615 on the Qs. If you look at yesterday's session, you didn't have to do much. All you have to do is click the buttons, right? Click the buttons yesterday. We said 610 was your bull bear pivot yesterday's session off the open. If you clear 610, we have a bullish move back into 615. 615, look above, fail back below, downside move. We move back to 610. Don't short back to 610 now, right? You can see it's turning into support. Big upside move following our data release on Twitter and truth.com, okay? Or Truth Social. So you can see, obviously, markets now above 615. Are we back bullish? We're not back bullish, but we're certainly not bearish either, because you can see we're back above 615. So my level today here on the Qs chart is actually 615. I want to see that fail for more continuation downside. But I'm going to add one very important level today. This is the one level that I think is really important today to watch here in Qs. It's 620. Right? It's a 620 level. 620 is our previous day high here on Qs. And my view is, if you want to be a little bit frothy today, you want to look for a nice trade off the 620s. This is super clear. This is your massive level today, right? This is your big level today here in Qs. My view is that if we break beneath 620, you see a quick flash sell at 615, right? If you hold above 620, we're not going to sell today, right? That's what it is. So your level today on the Qs is 620, previous day high, right? Previous day high, previous Wednesday's highs. If we can break beneath it, downside move, and we can look for move lower. But again, 620 is your level today. Okay. That being said, guys, let's move on to some other names. IWM. On the IWM. And again, guys, if you are just joining the stream, go back to my view on SPY. I think my analysis on SPY is really important today. That was the most important thing I talked about. That's why I'm skipping through these other names fast. On the IWM is still strong, right? And as long as this is the thing, is we were actually very right about the IWM. We mentioned the idea of just long. As long as we're above 261, just long. You can see we gap filled below. We saw a little reclaim yesterday at 261, upside move. The IWM is still bullish now, and your level is now going to be 267. If you're looking for any trades today in the IWM, it's going to be 267 pullback longs. If you fail below 267, we see 261. But as of right now, 267 is your previous all-time highs and is your level to watch out for, your level to contend with watching it going into our Thursday and Friday session, right? This is your probably your bounce area today, right? As long as we stay above this is your bounce level today, 267. If you fail below 267, then you know where we're going to. Unfortunately, it's 261, right? Moving on, guys, let's go over our equities. Let's talk about our first equity of today's session. Let's talk about the SMH. So not really an equity, still an ETF. But we were actually dead right about this. We spoke about what did you guys trade yesterday? I'm curious. What did you guys trade yesterday's session? Did anybody trade any semis yesterday? Because our view on semis was pretty good, right? Especially Nvidia, right? We longed Nvidia in the chat. Me and Mike longed Nvidia yesterday at that 180, and it was a good trade. And the reason why it ended up being a good trade was because an AMD. So someone just said AMD, right? The reason why it was a good trade was because not because Nvidia was unique to the upside. It was just because the semiconductor sector was strong, right? You're longing a strong sector in a relatively weak market, which I think was nice. Now, if you look at the SMH yesterday's session, you can see, what did we do? We just held 395, right? That was your pivot that we had yesterday. I don't believe we spoke about the SMH enough. I don't think we spoke about it yesterday. Did we speak? I don't think we even talked about SMH yesterday, but we did speak about semis being strong. So you can see 395 maintaining yesterday's session on the SMH, which was really nice. Today's session, your level is 403. 403 is this previous set of highs back from Friday and Thursday session, right? So you can see that's the new level I have to watch out for. As long as we're above 403, we're structuring bullish today here on semis. But going into today's session on Nvidia, right? Nvidia yesterday was a beautiful long in 180, right? That was your bull bear pivot. And 180, as soon as we reclaimed 180, we saw some upside back in 186. And this was probably one of the best trades yesterday. You can see how beautiful this was. I think we longed it. We didn't long it until a little bit later, though. That was the thing about this chart, was we longed it here, right? Which is a little bit atypical, because for me, I usually like to have a long right over here, right? That would be where I would usually want to long this chart. But I longed it over here. Or even here would be a good long. So this was a good long. This is your second best long, and this was your third best long. So not the best entry we had on Nvidia, or transparently, not the best entry, but we actually got a really good trade here. And it just ripped into highs and then EMA'd all the way up, and this ended up being almost like a 50% plus trade. And then into the end of the day, it probably was even more than that, right? On today's session on Nvidia, the strength is still there, and I think we could still watch this, but you have to watch out for 186, right? 186 is a big inflection point. We can't just be mindless longs into resistance, right? If you were a long yesterday at 180 demand, today's session, what are you saying? Hey, I want to take a step back. We're back at 186 supply, right? Demand below, supply above. Let's not be Muppets today, right? 186 is your big supply zone. Let's be aware of that going into our session. AMD was the best trade. Yes, it was the best trade. AMD was probably the best trade yesterday. What did we speak about yesterday at AMD? We did speak about this. We spoke about the 239 break and retest. And what did you get yesterday? You got your 239 break retest upside move. This was incredible yesterday, right? Just levels, right? This was super nice. If you just trusted the levels yesterday on AMD above 239, you got yourself a beautiful trade. Now today's session on AMD, what is it, right? It was 239 yesterday. What is it today? Well, it's still 239 today. If you are a fib boy, I'm curious, what are you doing as a fib boy today? You are probably watching. Yeah, you're watching this, right? You're still watching this whole area here. 239 demand bounce today on AMD valid, right? If you want to watch that, You're watching 245 or 239, but you're more than likely watching 239 as your demand bounce, right? As your opportunity for long. So yes, this was a nice breakout yesterday's session, beautiful breakout today's session. Excuse me, today's session, look for the pullback long at those lows for an upside move. Okay, so again, what I'm saying here is breakout yesterday. Now today's session, you can look for the pullback long back in demand, right? That's what we're looking for today's session. Fib boys would be validating this, so keep that on the back burner. Okay, let's move on, guys. Let's go over a few other names. Let's go over the Amazon chart. Amazon, interesting. Okay, this is interesting, right? Amazon back at that 234 level. So you can see we are back at supply here, but you have yourself a gap to play with, right? If we can break above the 235s today here in Amazon, 235. There is a gap to play with until 239. So if you want to look for a nice breakout trade today, you can probably watch this. Look for the 235 break and retest. If you are looking for an upside move, where's that trend line? Where's the Tory trades line? It's right over here. It's right over here. So if you want to look for the 235 break level, you can look for this little breakout today's session above these 235s. My view is you get the gap fill. Will it be a sexy trade? I think it will be quick. I think it's gonna be quick because there's literally no price action between 235 and 239. But you probably want to be nimble with it, because by 239, I do believe that this is going to be an area where the market can possibly give you some rejections, right? You don't want to be longing back into that mega supply. It's just the megalodon level, right? It's just a huge level here, high volume node as well. So above 235, yes, upside pocket, but you want to be a profit taker, at least in my opinion, back into 239. Okay, let's move on, guys. Let's go over a few of the names. Let's go over the Appler. So the Apple chart. The Apple chart is it is developing a hold, but it's not strong enough yet. I mean, where do I want it? I actually like Apple. I do. I still like Apple. The reason why I like Apple is because it's just holding a really big demand level on the daily time frame. And so if you guys have been watching the streams, you know that I was long Apple at 250, 256, I think I was long. No, sorry, 260 I was long on Apple, and I stopped under 256. So I was long Apple in this demand, and then I exited for a loss on my equity trade. But going forward, I'm still watching this, right? I'm looking for the day where it flips and tells me I'm back right again. And once that happens, I'll go long. Is it starting to happen here? If you look at the daily time frame, this candle for me yesterday isn't really confirming for me, right? I want to see us at least back above that 252 area, right? You see that previous daily high is. See this candle right here? You can see that this is it's starting to develop a hold here, right? But you want to see us build above this high here, right? If we can build back above that little indecision candle high, then yes, we're back confirming for bull trend. So if you want to look for longs today on a re-entry, right, or a new entry, if you haven't taken an entry here, well then 252 is your entry point, right? You need to see us back above these daily highs. If we can reclaim it, 251.50, right? This high right there, that's your long side entry. If you can break back above it, upside potential back into 256. So keep that in the back burner. I'm not done with it, right? But you want to wait for confirmation on this for it to work, okay? Let's move on, guys. Let's go over a few other names. Let's talk about, what are we missing here? Let's go over the Google chart. I didn't even notice this. This is a huge daily retest here in Google. Wow, huge daily retest here in Google off that 320. Did you guys see that? Did anybody notice this? How come nobody's talking about Google? Nobody's talking about this chart. Everyone's talking about about Sundial, SNDL, right? Everyone's talking about all these random names, right? But no one's talking about Google. The Googler, right? The classic, good old Google, right? This is your daily break and retest here on Google off of 320. Now, where does it go at this point? I mean, I do think your entry was probably best done yesterday, but today's session, if you are trading Google, you're probably trading something to do with this 330 level, right? 330 is a very big inflection point, and it's your trend line hold. So if you're looking for longs anywhere on Google, it's probably at 330, right? If you're a fib boy, fib boys are probably running from lows to highs here. No, it doesn't line up perfectly, but I would say here, this is your pocket today, right? Between 330 and 329 and change, that's your demand today, right? So you want to look for longs off of a demand bounce, look for that pullback long into 38.2 and that 330, okay? Nothing crazy here. I would argue your best trade was back here, right, off of yesterday's open. But even this was a little bit difficult to do, right? Because we were downtrending, the market was selling, so it was a kind of difficult trade to get behind. But today's session, if you are looking for a re-entry long, I think 330 is your re-entry long spot. Okay, let's move on, guys. We are doing well on time. Netflix. I'm long Netflix. You guys know that. I mean, not much to say here. A larger time frame looks shitty, right? Looks terrible, but that's what you do. You long into shitty names. And so I'm long here. I'm still going to long it. This is my whole zone. So, I mean, look, we're holding a big demand here at 81.5. Is this the area it develops the hold off of? Sure, right? I could see it. But again, this for me is more of a fundamental play than it is a tactical play, right? Fundamentals tell you if you want to buy it. Technicals tell you where. And for me, my technicals are telling me this whole area, this whole packet over here is my buy zone, right? And so I will continue to buy this as long as we're in my buy zone, okay? And as long as my average is under 85, 85, 86, I'll be happy in this name looking for upside. I actually added to it yesterday's session. If you guys remember, I spoke about this chart yesterday, the fact that I would add to it, and pre-market posted about it, right? I think I got some ads around 81.5, and my new average is around 86 now, okay? So that's what I have here on Netflix. Moving on, guys. Let's move on. Let's go over some other names. What are we missing? Intel. So Intel has earnings after hours today, right? And all this previous price action we've had at Intel and INTC is going to be determined whether or not it was validated price action or perhaps invalidated price action. And that's the thing is right now, this is an exciting moment at Intel. I will say this. If you are a shareholder of Intel, if you are an option holder of Intel, today is not a bad day to take some off, right? It's not a bad day, right? I will always tell you when I see charts that look like this, right? Charts that look like this, excitement moving higher, right? This is your opportunity to get some exposure off. I'm not saying full sell it and run to the and run away, but I am telling you to sell at least a little bit, right? Get a little bit of exposure off. If it goes to 90 after earnings, you can come in tomorrow morning and Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to say, oh my God, you told me to sell it. No, I just told you to take some profit off, right? And I think it's fair to do that. Why? Because you look at the chart has gone up an exceptional amount and you can see, look at this. We even have this is our trade back over here. Remember we were longing over here. So I think I have all the reason to tell you, hey, if you're long over here or long over there, long over here, take some profit back over here, right? It's a good thing to do because again, even on every trade that I was long in Nvidia back in 2024, right? Do you think I held my full position in Nvidia from 80 a share up to 185 a share? No, I did not, right? I sold a lot. Every pop higher, I was selling some, right? You buy and you build size at demand when it's weak, right? You sell into highs when it's strong, like Intel right now going into earnings. INTC going in earnings. Let's see what happens. I'm curious to see what goes on there, okay? Palantir, PLTR. Palantir actually looks weak, man. Palantir looks weak. Palantir does not look to be exciting. Palantir does not look to be moving with the overall market, right? So Palantir, even though the market's gapping up, is actually not gapping up. It's barely even moving up higher. So that's a bit of a sign for us. So does this turn into any more downside? Well, I would argue where's your entry point to the downside? Well, it's difficult to find it, to be honest. It's a little choppy here, but I would argue under 161. Under 161, there is some more downside to watch out for. So look for under 161 for shorts. If you clear into 161, maybe some downside back at 150, right? That would be your next trade here for downside shorts, okay? As long as we're under 180, I think we're bearish on Palantir, right? At least in the short term. That's where your inflection point is. Tesla, last tier, guys. Tesla's last tier for today's session. We've gone fast today. I don't know why we've gone so fast today. I think we're just back to our normal setup, so we're going a bit speedy. Look at the chart. I mean, the chart actually, this trend line. Oh, my monitor just went black. Are we back? Hold on a second. Give me a second. I know it looks like there it is. Okay. So Tesla. On the Tesla chart, you can see here we are holding really well. And if we can if we can clear these trend lines and start to clear higher, I would argue back above 439. I think there's an upside trade here, right? Tesla has been a name that it's been shitty for a long time. And I think that the exciting days of Tesla are coming back soon. Where it's going to happen? First above 439, 438. If it can clear above 438, there's upside potential back into 450. Back above 450 is the real level. This is where the chart will start skipping numbers, right? This is what I've been waiting for a long time. Remember, I've been talking about, I talked about over here as well. I talked about this level for a long time. 450 is your big level. We can clear 450. This is where risk goes on, and we can look for upside moves. Yes, my chart's frozen. You can't see it. You can't see what I've just done there. So don't worry about it. I'm just literally drawing a level here at 450. My chart's frozen because my OBS has decided to kick out for the day, which for me is a sign to end the stream. Guys, it's a beautiful stream this morning. It's a beautiful Thursday morning. Enjoy your trading session. Have a great trading session. And I will see you guys all for live. Have a good day. Bye, guys.